Hi, James.
He's a director. He makes movies. Now he's on a show with Ben Johnson.
Well, friend and men, here we are. One of the most important film directors that came from international. He's international. He came from Hollywood. Mark, who do we have on the program, Mark? Tell us right now.
We have the film director, is it Uwe or Uwe?
Uwe.
Uwe.
Yeah.
Uwe Boll.
So many people say Yui to me, so it's okay. Yeah.
Uwe Boll. And Mark, who else is with us with Uwe? And we also have
Ben Johnson. Another independent film director, and of course my co-host, James Eads, and
welcome to the program, Uwe. We're so happy to have you here, and I'm going to start the panel with the first question is, are there any crotchy dolls for Mark to buy for his sister's boyfriend?
No, I actually have only one crotchy doll left in Vancouver, and I hate myself that I didn't took way more, because when you watch Postal, you saw all that crotchy dolls stapled up, and I don't know, everybody took one, whatever, as a freebie gift, and I got 2 or 3. I should hamster it all in, that I have hundreds of these things. Now they have a big value. They have a big collector's value, I think.
The eBay markup on that has to be insane, right? Like truly, to be so rare. And that sort of leads, just in general, for me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take over everything. As far as production value goes, right? This is a thing. I mean, those dolls cost, the costumes cost, and as far as what is it? I forget. It's Little Germany or whatever. That whole set, all those pieces, everything. It's beautifully laid out. I mean, just tremendous.
Yeah, no, Postal was not a small movie, right? I mean, even if it comes across as a total kind of a on purpose trash comedy action thing, but when you actually watch it, you see it's extremely technical, with CGI, with real explosions, with big shootouts. We wrecked various cars and blowed up that honey wagon trailer thing from the wife and stuff. So it was not a small film, and I still love Postal. The shooter Postal was my favorite shooter I ever did in my whole life. It was just fun because you go so over the top in the scenes, and the actors enjoyed it. They were all over it. And I highly doubt you would get the same actors again if you shoot Postal today, because now they're all so scared about cancel culture and everything. Oh, we cannot do this, we cannot do that, whatever. And at that time where I shot the film, nobody gave a shit. Everybody left it.
Well, and it's so close to I mean, 6-7 years past 9/11, and you open with a 9/11. It's
yeah.
From Jump Street, in watching it, I was like, this is tremendous. Where do we go from here? And then to go back to what you said about stunts and being a big movie, all the money's on the screen. When that dude gets, it's close to the end of the film and he gets blasted into the house, and it's just the whole thing fucking shatters.
Fucking piece of shit!
Amazing. I love it.
We had very good, Jack Osmond was the guy with the special effects, and he's very, very good. Did a lot of big shows, and he's just so skilled. He can blow up things. You have from the candy glass to the whatever, right? All that stuff, but it looks super realistic. They did a great job, and the whole stunt department was extremely good. And they had fun doing it. What is the great thing, right? So that it's a different thing as we normally do. And they were laughing their asses off. And at that point, we still shot 35 millimeter, what added costs additional. And then when the material came always the next day, and I put it in at the video village, the whole crew was behind me, like, because they wanted to see how it looked like what we shot the day before. And they were all excited about it. I never had it on another film, you know, where the crew wants to see the dailies. And so,
That's
like,
amazing.
yesterday we shot this and whatever, like, we need to see it. So that was really, something else. It's when you just said where we went from there, I would say to nothing, because we I mean, look at the comedy genre. I think it's the genre what went most downhill in the last 5-6 years with this kind of political correctness, Twitter police, woke culture, cancel culture. They scare everybody so much that they don't do ridiculous comedies anymore. Hangover would not get done anymore, I think.
No, it can't. And unless you're really operating outside of the system, which I know you got your start operating very much outside of the system, and then sort of grew into it, I guess, right? Like over the course of time. But on record, you know, fuck Hollywood. on record, you said as much. To go from that, though, I guess is sort of an interesting journey to me, because in the movie that I just made, it's called Curse of the Weredeer. I'm gonna plug a little, Uwe, plug just a little. We rip off 6 hunters' dicks in one sequence. So the hunters go out, they have a bachelor party, they drink beers, they shoot deers, they have all the sexy strippers come out, and then they all go to their tents and bugger each other. And then the monster comes in and he rips everybody's dicks off. He rips all six dicks off one sequence. I'm very proud of it. I don't think
like prosthetic dicks hanging and then and blood under it, and they rip it just off or what, and then the blood sprays everywhere.
I have a dick man. We have one tent. One tent has 3 guys doing like a circle jerk, right? And then all of a sudden it's like they all have their and then the blood's going everywhere, and you look down and there's the monster with his horns and everything. Because you know, I didn't have the money to actually have the horn ripping the dick. We had to play with camera a lot. But the problem for us is, I think my market is going to be very small, very small. But to your point, the only way to really make a comedy that has any level of humor and social commentary to it.
I'm sorry, Sonya Blade, but I gotta go fight Shao Kahn.
To operate outside the system, right?
Yeah, but you know what the fact is like, when I go somewhere and like whatever convention and people want that I sign a DVD or whatever, right? You can say, I mean, I made 34 films, but you can say 50% of the signatures are on postal DVDs. 50%. So means all the other films, from the other films, Rampage is another 25%. So you have 75% of the fans who come up with subject to say, I love that film or whatever, is Rampage 1 and Postal. So, but Postal made not even 10% of the revenues of House of the Dead. And Postal till today is one of the few films I did not even sold to Netflix or something. You know, it's the streamers never bought Postal. They bought In the Name of the King 1, 2, 3, Blood Rain 1, 2, 3, Rampage 1, 2, 3, Assault on Wall Street. They bought all that films, but they never bought Postal. Nobody bought Postal, besides when it came out in a few theaters and then the DVD. So, and the DVD market is kind of over. You know, and that is the thing now, when you do a trauma film or kind of a real bloody, crazy independent film, you have basically only the physically DVD market still. It's still there, but it's small, you know, from all the people who want the collector's items. And and you can upload them yourself. You can put every film on Amazon, Google, Apple, you know, your own little channel there, but who will watch it? I mean, that is the shit, right? It's like it's not hard to be on Apple or on Amazon, but it's hard to get the traction because they do nothing for you. They do only something for you if they buy your film, pay you some money, then they put it up in new releases and something, and people will watch it. And I'm shocked that Postal, that all that buyers in this kind of streaming world, they are all kind of so mainstream that I think they never bought Postal because they're scared it could have negative response to them. They're getting canceled in the Netflix buyer gets canceled because he feels if I buy that film and Ted Sarandos is watching it and then he calls me. But I think actually Ted Sarandos would like Postal. He's one of the few people who is politically incorrect. He likes political incorrectness, but the people under him are scared. I think Netflix, in regards of like the stand-up with Chappelle or whatever, Bill Burr, I'm happy that they still show them. That they still go out there, and the few stand-up comedians are still doing incorrect political statements, what I like, or dirty humor. And when I was in New York recently shooting that first Shift film, like I did a film, like my comeback film in a way, I shot it in New York, and I went to a comedy club in the evening, and it was horrible.
How'd you get a dirty car clean? With the car wash.
It was so woke, so like they tried to cater to everybody in the audience.
Hey, everybody. Have you ever noticed when you're in a movie theater and someone really tall is sitting in front of you and you can't see very well? Why don't you just change your seat?
That it was so boring. Like after an hour, me and my DP, we just walked out and said, like, what the fuck is this? I mean, if I go to a stand-up comedy club, I want to get insulted. I want to like candle. I want a guy who's on stage, whatever, pulling his pants down and insulting everybody.
So comics that will walk a room, that's, I think, the inside term is walking a room. We'll say whatever we can say, and the last person standing is going to get the best joke.
Yeah, volume. Okay, good. Volume is up.
You thin out the crowd with for lack of a better term, with the pussies that can't fucking handle it. You know what I mean?
But I had the feeling in New York, it's all over. They were laughing this polite laugh, like this. It's not funny, but and people were on stage making jokes like my father was rich and but he didn't rape me. Whatever, like that was the hardest. But that was the hardest. They
South Park did that.
it was not funny. It was like you felt like, oh God, there's no timing to it.
Hey, Uwe, I got a question for you. When it comes to movies and some people being afraid to offend people, do you feel like some of these bigger guys, the South Parks and these guys who are big, powerful people get a little bit more leeway just because of their status, and the little guy maybe gets a little bit more scrutiny just because they don't have the same footing? What is your take on that?
No, I agree. It's a South Park or Family Guy, stuff like this. They are so established. It's animation, so they can go further. People that don't take it serious, in a way, even if they're very, very dirty and insulting and whatever. I love the shows. I love both shows. But I agree. They Seth MacFarlane and the South Park guys, what is it, Trey
Parker and Matt Stone.
Yeah. So they are so rich, that they're also they're so established that nobody in a way touches them. It's maybe also that all that woke people didn't watch this and are not aware of what kind of political underground humor is swelling there. And and I think that so they got away with it in a way. But with actors, this stuff wouldn't fly.
I actually have a story to add on to that. So when Team America World Police came out in 2004, I went to the theater to see it, and a woman brought her child because she thought it was like a puppet action movie. But when halfway through, when he's like, "Suck my cock," the woman took her son and she ran so fast out of the movie theater with her son. It was great. Now, on to Rampage. So, I watched all 3 Rampages last week. The one thing I enjoyed about Rampage is a positive thing is you showed that like any normal person can do what Brendan Fletcher did in the movie. He could be like you or me. He could have a normal job. He could just one day go nuts. I mean, of course, 2 and 3, he fights the TV stations and stuff. Yeah. But the first one, it felt pretty realistic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I did Rampage in a way as I made a lot of films about people running amok in general, right? Assault on Wall Street, he also shoots up the bankers, whatever, but because they ruined him. Like for him, that is a revenge thing. On Rampage, it's a greed thing. He's greedy. He wants to rob the bank, but I mean, if you basically annihilate a whole city, nobody cares about a bank robbery in big city. Like 400 dead in a city, and then but he stole 600,000. That is harder. So I mean, it's and I think it's a genius coup. Like the Rampage 1 is basically a guy pulls out the perfect crime.
We're so precious, aren't we? Everyone's got to live. Everyone's got to be happy. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. You think people are equal? They're not. They're not.
But on a major size, sure. Not a little coup, like how I really rob a bank and then that is it. And I felt the film is evil, but he's sympathetic. Bill Williamson is just a guy you can relate to. It's like, he has this cynical humor too. And, and then this innocent play with the parents that he's just a little guy.
Buy me some.
Okay.
That's a classic guilt trip, by the way. And I appreciate that. I know what you're doing.
Who, and in reality, planned that for a year through. In a way, he's also like Breivik was in Norway, shooting up the whole island with that. It's a very good planned amok run heist, and I love always the reaction. I remember when I showed it the first time. When the moment he starts that car with a remote control and blows up the police building, all bets are off. Because the audience like, what the fuck? Because then it's clear, like, it's not a guy who's grabbing a gun, how so many little amok runners around the world, right? And just shoot somebody up and then get shot by the police. That is the normal outcome of a amok guy. But I think that moment with the kind of police station makes it clear there is more to it, and there is more planned, and basically it's also a lesson in this kind of greed, right? That people selling everybody out because they think money is the solution for everything. He knows he maybe never sees his parents again because he knows he has to get away. Yeah. They will track him down. He's very aware that he cannot stay where he is, and he has to get in the underground, basically. So, but that is one of the reasons I love Rampage a lot, and why I also continued with Rampage 2 and 3, because the question came just up. I was meeting Brendan Fletcher, and we were talking. I said, what would happen to Bill Williamson? What he actually would do after? And then I felt like being in the underground or hiding, he would turn into more political terrorist. And that is what you see then in Rampage 2 or 3, where everything is kind of political motivated, what he's doing. And when you see Rampage 3, that was shot 1 year before Trump took over, and you have at the end of Rampage 3, you have the total mayhem on the streets. It's almost like a foreshadowing for the Capitol, the riots 4 or 5 years later,
It's like you finger on the pulse, that's what they say, of what's going on in the world around you. That's amazing.
Rampage is also very personal, important for myself. And when he's dead, basically, and in the Rampage 3, the video plays for his son in the very end, right? Where he says, if you feel there is an injustice, a total injustice, that something is completely wrong, you have to take the law in your own hands, right? He basically tells it to your son, don't swallow it, don't accept it, then go for it, right? So, and of course, in a way, that Capitol thing in a bad way, and I'm not pro that they stormed into the Capitol, right? But that was exactly what he said. But typical is if you basically incite violence, or if you say violence is a solution for something, normally violence is, of course, destroying freedom, and is destroying the possibility of having a good life, at least, right? When everybody massacres everybody, I mean, then you can say, look, we were fighting for the right thing, but now we're all dead. That brings also nothing. But I felt it's still an important statement, because we come in a situation now, now he's dead, so you cannot make Rampage 4, right? So, but it's this kind of like, we're coming in a fake reality more and more, with artificial intelligence taking over, with total, like, this fake news. Every side says always everything as fake news, right? Trump says everything is fake news, but other people say everything is fake news, what Trump is doing or saying. So everybody lies, and everybody, it's just a facade of truth, what is around us, and who, and nobody wants to see, they want to see their sides, but they don't want to see or find out, is it really true what I'm thinking? Is it based on facts, or is it just based on emotions? And I get fed that emotions because I'm watching everyday TikTok videos, and now whatever I think cats are the most important thing on the planet Earth.
There's also no more Walter Cronkites. There's no more just fact-based information. Everything hits on a feeling. Everything is pushed to a degree to either either everything offends you, nothing offends you. There's no shades of gray anymore. There's no middle ground. There's no one to just sit there and be like, 5 things happened in the world today, here are the biggest 5 things, that's it. Everybody wants to put a stink on it. Everybody wants to put a spin. Everybody wants to tell stories and make up whatever, just so they can get clicks, they can get hearts on their cats. That's
yeah, but look, I mean, that is another problem, of course, is this kind of who gains traction, right? Or who gets clicks, or who gets attention. And you see a lot of people, they are not intelligent, but they're famous, so they're getting all that meaning into meaningless people who don't have a real, let's say, education, historical knowledge, or whatsoever, but they get all the power because they have this kind of reality TV show and stuff like this. And that is also bad. That's very, very bad. And what you said with the Walter Cronkite, that is a very good point, right? We had the same in Germany. All that news now getting less news and more kind of news shows.
Right.
And not like, and I liked, as you said, like, just first give me the plain facts, and then you can make a different a report about it, a talk show about it. But I want 15 minutes compressed, like what happened on the planet, without like all the why and whatever. More like, okay, that is the status quo, and not like this commentaries about it. That is, I think, in US, I mean, Fox News and CNN are both kind of propaganda machines, right? So
100%.
they're not really trying to tell us the truth. They're trying to make the truth fitting in their agenda. They double down on bullshit, even if it turns out to be bullshit. They still stay on it and acting like we said it once, we keep it forever. Yeah, so
right. And you know what they used to do in newspapers? This is a beautiful thing. It was a very small section, right? That was the editorial. That was where you got opinion in your paper. Very small section. Fucking comics were a bigger section than the editorial, but you actually used to get real news.
In Germany, the Spiegel magazine was like the non plus ultra for political reports. And then one scandal after the other with manufactured bullshit things. They got lied to and printed it and stuff like this. And they don't do the duty anymore of fact checking.
Right.
And they also don't do the duty anymore if something, let's take Corona as an example, right? The whole COVID situation. So COVID hit. Nobody knows what the fuck is that. Are we all dying? Everybody is scared. So now you do shutdowns. You say, oh, no more contact to anybody, whatever. And you develop on the fast track a vaccine. Makes total sense, right? Like if we get a vaccine, nobody's dying anymore. And we cannot just have like, no, we need a mask on, whatever. All that stuff made totally sense first. Then the vaccine came, everybody got vaccinated, whatever, but the numbers got higher and higher. And you think like, okay, how is that possible that we have more infections now as we had when nobody was vaccinated, right? So, and stuff, and the shutdowns continued even when the vaccination came. There was still a half a year spillover where all the shit stayed closed, the movie theaters and everything, concert halls. So then, okay, so everybody is vaccinated, or most of 80%, whatever. And then more and more, basically, it came clear that the vaccine holds up only for 3 months, that the vaccine doesn't really protect, like if you still can get COVID, even if you're vaccinated, you're not getting a bad COVID. So that was the only good thing of the vaccine, was that the dying chance was rapidly going down, but so was the virus. The virus went rapidly more harmless as in the beginning. So, but when you see the whole discussion about it, you were this way or that way. Mm-hmm. Right? You had the ones who said, no vaccines, I get shit from Bill Gates, whatever, like flipping completely out because of the vaccination. And the others, and said like, whatever, you die from the vaccine. And the other guy said, still running around with a mask right now. I was yesterday in Berlin, you go through the airport and you still have people running around with the mask on. And most of them are younger people, where you think like, are you out of your fucking mind? I mean, what is this? And I think they just want to double down saying, I'm still on it. I was right. I got 100 times vaccinated already and buffered and boosted till the bitter end. And I will have the mask till Ebola finally comes. The left, basically, they all had the mask on everywhere. They showed off in TV because they wanted to bring the message across, like, I am sleeping with my mask, right? So, and you think, what is wrong with you guys? And I think they overdid it to this side. And also they always doubled down instead of taking also like advices from not only one side of scientists, there were also other scientists who said, for example, the psychological damage for kids not to go to even elementary school for a year is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And when you see, New York never recovered. When I was now in New York, it looks like a total shithole. It's like they never really got the grip back on New York. And I can only imagine how much damage kids having now. And they even proved it. There are more depression in school kids, more like they lost tons of knowledge because they've like missed so much school with online. You cannot have Zoom online school with 6 years old or 7 or 8 years old. It's ridiculous, right? Yeah. You're all screaming and then you switch it off and say, watch TV because it's bullshit. You cannot teach them anything. And then they said, we have to protect the older because all the schools with hundreds of millions of kids, they destroyed the kids' lives, their hobbies, no more sports, no more pools, no more whatever, to protect the olders. And then 1 year later, turns out everybody could infect somebody the whole time.
Right.
So we could not really protect the olders. The only way to protect the olders was that the olders don't have any contact to anybody anymore. But for this, you don't have to lock up all the children and destroy their lives, right? So that is the thing. And we had the retirement homes in Germany where the olders could not see anybody anymore, only with a fast test getting in with the mask. It was like a jail. And they couldn't even understand what's happening here on the planet Earth. They thought they're in a sci-fi movie now and died all alone. So, and that was the price we paid for a virus, what in the end drove up the death rate 0.2%.
Yeah, and Mark got erectile dysfunction too.
As a result. of COVID. That's the part they don't tell you. It's the lingering after effects of long COVID, and ED is by far the worst, right? Like that's the terrible thing.
Yeah. So, Uwe, now can you tell us about your new film? What are you doing now? Because you sworn off filming and directing, and you retired from it, but you're back. You're like Rocky.
I have a few things I want to do. So I did in New York the film First Shift. What is basically we follow through one shift 2 cops who have to work that day the first time together. And there are little episodes, like violent episodes with the mafia, stuff like this, and also like kind of sad episodes with the family drama and a lot of humor too. So Kristen Renton, she's very good looking, and she was in Sons of Anarchy, the lead actress, the blonde, the girlfriend from Charlie Hunman. And so she plays the female cop. Gino Pizzi plays the male cop. He was the lead in Shades of Blue with Jennifer Lopez, on a TV series, and he played the state attorney. So they're working there together. And then I felt a film like this has to play in Brooklyn, the French Connection kind of locations, where you feel like then do it for real and don't fake it, shooting it in Vancouver or something. And the good thing is in New York, I mean, the bad thing was really, the logistics were horrible. You're only in traffic jams the whole time. The crew were all like woke idiots. I mean, that was really bad. But I had people from Germany, they are my whole camera crew, so we just kept shooting. And but it was not so good experience with the crew, I have to say, crystal clear. And but the actors were great, and we got so many famous actors who are living in New York and love this kind of stuff. And then Gary Pastore, he was in 10 Scorsese films playing mafia guys. Daniel Soli, he was, The Deuce with James Franco, that TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was the main mafia guy who killed everybody, like the real tough motherfucker who like shot everybody. I got him. And James McMillan, he was in Orange is the New Black, had a big part, House of Cards, and so on. Very good actors who you can get also not too expensive because you pick them up from their apartment, so you don't have to fly them anywhere. And so I think we have a good film. The editor is Ethan Manikis. He did Sin City, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, wow.
So a very high-end editor. So it's in post-production. And I felt it's an unusual film. It's not so like straightforward, dark or violent, It's more like a police drama with some very harsh scenes, but overall I wanted to keep the tone a little more like we follow that 2 cops who also need to check each other out the first day, right? So he doesn't want her, she's all excited, she comes from Atlanta, first time in New York, and works now in New York, and he like, oh God, I don't stop talking to me in the car. So you have this kind of buddy comedy kind of element in it too, where he's completely like refusing or want to get rid of her, basically.
Yeah. So Uwe, what are the hardest scenes to shoot, in a movie? Is there anything that's been more difficult? Like, is there a certain scene that you shot that was like the most difficult?
Of course. Like highly emotional scenes are not easy, where you need the people to cry or whatever. And because I normally have a very, I try to have a very positive atmosphere on set, that people enjoying themselves, whatever. And then you have to switch it down for a scene, and you have to say, look, now it's all like, think about your kid is dying. No, it's not so easy. I mean, you have to try to basically adjust to the situation as a filmmaker. And then, of course, there are also situations, I did a lot of action scenes, right, where you recognize that doesn't work. They will never get it done in a way that I can use it or that it looks good or whatever. And then it's sometimes difficult to just adjust in the situation where you feel like, how I do this now. I had a scene like this in First Shift because we didn't have too much money. So there is a scene where like a drug dealer is basically cutting off the police with the car. And they have to chase him and stop him. But that cut off thing, I had only one stunt guy. Means the actor, we were with the camera in the car with the drug dealer gangster guy, but it was an actor and not a stunt guy. So, and we did it 3-4 times on the corner, whatever, but I felt like that is just bullshit. It will never fucking work without 2 stunt drivers, but we just didn't have it, right? So, because then you can actually say, go for it. The stunt guys are paid to do this. So, and then you just have to adjust, right? And what I did then, for example, is I did a completely different, I changed the whole scene around, that it's not a near miss, that it's more like a pissing off the cop situation. In having him just being sitting in the car, and the cop is not a police car, it's a civil police car with the blue lights are inside of the police car, but you can identify mostly a black Dodge, right? So I have the guy just talking with his girlfriend and driving like a total idiot, like driving too fast, too slow, and I have the cop in the car reacting to it. Like, what is wrong with that guy? Like acting to Kristen Renton, right? So like the 2 cops in the car, and they're getting very mad about them. Like, so now he drives 10 miles an hour. Now he drives over the red light. So I had him going through a red light, and then they pulled him over. So I didn't have to chase. I didn't have to stunt. I could shoot both with original actors, but then I think it's more realistic. The audience will not miss the near stunt thing because they don't know it existed. So, and I think that is in a way what comes with experience. I made so many films and had so much things to do that I think you have to just know it and have to say, look, I cannot spend another 3 hours on that bullshit. Because it took forever. They had to drive around the corner. You have to walkie-talkie. So now you speed it up and you brake in the last second or whatever, right? So, and it was just a pain in the ass. And you felt like that is not like Bad Boys would look like. You feel like that looks like idiotic shit. But to rewrite in the head the scene and just do it totally different, nobody will care from the audience because the audience can totally identify with that situation and think that cops would pull that guy over now. Because they would think the guy is maybe under drugs himself or something. Yeah, it will be a good film. I have a few more things I want to do, but it's tough today. In today's time, I want to go to festivals. I like theatrical showings, right? So I'm not just boom, Netflix 1 week and you will never seen again. I mean, that's the problem, right? As soon as they move your Netflix away from new releases, you're basically toast. Because who will watch you? Like I think The Irishman is maybe watched 5 times a day now in total. Because I mean, who was watching now The Irishman? We all watched it because we are maybe all Martin Scorsese fans, and of course. But then as soon it was after 3 weeks basically off, now. I don't think somebody's watching The Irishman anymore. And that was different. You had, in earlier years, The Goodfellas. I still have the DVD. I have the Blu-ray. I heard the director's commentary. I watched it in the movie theaters. That is why Goodfellas will never be forgotten, But The Irishman is maybe the most, let's say, it was not a bad film. It's not so good like Goodfellas, but it was not, it was definitely a good film. But I think it will be completely forgotten out of Martin Scorsese's work.
Now, Uwe, what's your price? Because Ben is going to send you some money if you can quote his movie for Curse of the Weredeer. This is a great movie, Uwe Boll.
Write it on the box and I say I said it, no problem.
Now, Uwe, is there a chance that you can have Mark star in one of your action movies? He's a great actor. I mean, he's a little bit heavy on the heavy side. But Mark is really good with some action scenes. Mark, show him your one-man pie fight impersonation, Mark.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I would say. I don't know what I want to say, bro. Give me till tomorrow. I email my response. But
okay, fair enough.
Uwe, listen, man, this has been exciting. You're so insightful. And I just want to speak for myself for a second. You know, like what made me fall in love with you, not just because you're the most handsome man in Germany, but your documentary, actually, Raging Bull, really put a different perspective about you in a really different light that I have nothing but the utmost respect for you. Like which film director fought critics? Nobody. I just want to say, man, this has been wonderful. I don't care what Mark says about you. I still think you're a handsome guy, you know, and hey, you know, Mark can do a great on-screen kiss. I mean, you know, Mark can kiss his hand if you want to see.
No,
we'll skip that part.
Thank you
so much.
I appreciate it. Wonderful information today. Pleasure meeting you. Thank you,
Good luck
sir.
with your film. Send me the link. You can use my quote, like a masterpiece I never saw before. Uwe Boll.
Love it. Yes. Thank you. Done.
Let me try that real quick. That might do the job.
Mashed potatoes are great.